2 pointers. I'm going to go through the 2 pointers from the Common Core exam on June 1st. So the first one, I hope was screaming out at you, you needed common denominators. So this I'm going to times by 3 if I can write. So the top needs a 3, bottom needs an x, the top needs an x. So hopefully you had 3 over 3x minus 1 over 3x equals negative 1 over 3x. Now, because it says solve, and there's an equal sign in the problem, we can drop the denominators. Oops, forgot the x here. So we have 3 minus 1x equals negative 1. I'm going to subtract the 3 over. So get negative x equals negative 4, which means x equals 4. Now, before I circle it, I'm going to go back up here, make sure it didn't ruin the denominator, which it does not. So I hope you got 4 for that one. All right, next one, which is the weird one. Describe how a controlled experiment can be created to examine the effect of ingredient X in a toothpaste. Well, what you should have said, you were going to create, need to create 2 random, and you needed to mention random groups of individuals where one group was given toothpaste with ingredient X and the other was not. So that's it for that one. I believe if you left off the word random, then I think you lose a point. It's the trick on that one. Okay. Next one. All right. I think everybody should have hopefully gotten this one right. Determine if x minus 5 is a factor. 2 ways of doing it, right? The fastest way is to plug positive 5 in for x, which I noticed a lot of you did do. So if you did that, right, so by just showing that, I believe you just got a point. Now it's a matter of finishing it. Minus 4, 5 squared, minus 7 times 5, minus 10. So it looks like I'm getting 105. So let me just double check. 2, 5 cubed, minus 4, 5 squared, minus 7, 5, and I think I wrote minus 10, right? Yep. Okay, so 105. So by the remainder theorem, x minus 5 is not a factor because to be a factor, there should be no remainder. And we have a remainder of 105. Okay, so that's that. So if you had some sort of explanation around those, around this, you're going to get it. Another way you could have done it is by long division or synthetic even. Synthetic, you can put 5 in the box. So it'd be 2, negative 4, negative 7, negative 10. Draw the line. 2 came down, get a 10, which makes 6. 30, add down 23. Put that together, you get 115. Add down, you get 105 in the box. And then you would have the same explanation. Or you could have done it with long division. Same deal, you would have had 105 as the remainder. All right, next one. On the axes below, graph one cycle. If you graph more than one cycle, you're going to lose a point. Of the cosine function with an amplitude of 3, a period of pi over 2, and a midline of negative 1. All right, so we know the midline's got to be at negative 1. So there's our midline. Okay. Now, it has to go through the point 0, 2. The 0.02 is right there. Okay, so I have that. Then we want cosine, and the amplitude is 3. Well, if this is the midline, you notice that this point is already 3 above the line, and cosine needs to start above the line, right? So if I make a sketch up here, this is what the cosine curve looks like, which starts above the line. If you remember, the sine curve would have started on the line. So this is sine, this is cos. All right, so we're starting above the line. Now here's the trick, pi over 2. That means this picture's got to end pi over 2 later. So you can actually label the x-axis the way you want. I'm thinking some of you probably did 1, 2, 3, pi over 2. And that means the picture's going to end there. Okay, now if you notice, the cosine curve starts up high, ends high. And right down in the middle, it's at its lowest point. So right in the middle of these, so that's 1, 2, 3 boxes apart. So halfway, so here's the midline. We're going to be 3 below the line here. So these guys are 1.5, 1.5. Now, 1.5 apart, what's half of 1.5? Chop that by 2, right? So you do 1.5 divided by 2 just to show you what I'm doing. Oops. 0.75. That means right about there, it's going to hit there and right about there. And that's what your picture should have looked like, just like that. Again, your scale could have been different, so it depends on how you set it up. But the trick is to put the first point, pi over 2 later, put the last point, and then chop all the distances in half. So you might have been able to get at least a point out of that one. Okay, what's next? All right. A suburban high school has a population of 1,376 students. The number of students who participate in sports is 649. The number of students who participate in music is 433. If the probability that students participates in sports or music, that means the probability of sports or music is 974 over 1376. What is the probability? We want and. All right, the trick to this was remembering that or thing I gave you. The probability of an or meant we're doing the probability of S plus the probability of M minus the overlap. Well, I already know the probability of sports was 649 out of this. So sports was 649 out of 1376. Plus the probability of music is 433 out of that. This is what we want to find, the and. But we know it has to equal this, 974 over 1376. So I'm going to add these two together. Whoop, this is my dead calculator. 649 plus 433. 10, right, so I'm getting 1082 minus P, S, and M equals 974, 1376. Okay, going to subtract this over to the other side. So this cancels. So I get negative P, S, and M equals 974 minus 1082. Get negative 108 over 1376. And then since they're both negative, the negatives cancel. So the probability of S and M, that was another way you can write the word, equals 108 over 1376. Okay, so that was that one. There's another way, you can do this other ways, but that's just using the definition they gave you for or. All right, this one, a lot of you told me you had no idea how to do this one. The directrix of a parabola. So the parabola has the equation y equals negative 6. Find the coordinates of the focus. All right, so let's make a graph. You know the directrix is at negative 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is negative 3, negative 6. So here's our directrix. This is x, this is y. Now we have this equation. 12, y plus 3 equals x minus 4 squared. Now it's a parabola, so we have to get the y alone. So that's the first step. So I'm going to divide both sides by 12. So I get y plus 3 equals, this would be 1/12 x minus 4 squared. Then I'm going to subtract the 3 over. Y equals 1/12 x minus 4 squared minus 3. Now this is where I start deciding, is it a happy face parabola, a sad face parabola? What's a happy face? So I'm going to write down happy face. It means our parabol's got to look like that, right? And remember, we need the p. 1/12 has to equal 1/4p. So p equals 3. Okay, so I know it's a happy face parabola. And this is the vertex point. The vertex is going to be +4, -3. So the vertex point now is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, right here. Okay. We know it's a happy face parabola. So the focus has to be inside this. Well, the focus has to be 3 above this. 1, 2, 3. So the focus is the point 1, 2, 3, 4. The focus is point -4, 0. And that's the answer to the question. Okay, next one. Algebraically prove. Prove is when you draw the line down the middle. Or you can put this in a box and you want to try to get this side to look like this side. I think the easiest way to do it is, hey, this is a fraction. Put 1/1, make it a fraction. Now I'm going to make a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply this by x cubed plus 8. Multiply this by x cubed plus 8. So this side becomes x cubed plus 8 over x cubed plus 8 plus 1 over x cubed plus 8. And then you add them together and you get x cubed plus 9 over x cubed plus 8. Check, both sides match. That's it. That's all you got to do for that one. Some of you solved this and made an, like you actually got an answer, like x equals whatever. That was completely wrong. Prove means you have to show that this side becomes this side. Another way of doing this, so this is one way, way number 1. I'll put it down here. You could have taken this side, so I'm going to rewrite it. Now again, prove means you put something in a box and you got to make it happen. You could have done long division on this side. X cubed plus 8 divides into x cubed plus 0x squared plus 0x plus 9. And you can say, okay, I need to make him look like him. So make it, so it needs a 1, right? Because they already look the same. So that makes x cubed, well, there's no 0x squared plus no 0x, but there's an 8. And if I subtract this, this is gone, this is gone, this is gone. I have a 1 left over. That's my remainder. So the answer is 1 plus 1 over, and that would have been your prove. But I'm assuming that would have been the easiest way for you guys to do it. So prove meant you should not have solved it. Okay, 32. I think this is the last of the 2-pointers. Yes. Okay, last of the 2-pointers. A house purchased 5 years ago for $100,000 was sold for $135,000. Assuming exponential growth, approximate the annual growth rate. Okay, well, the house started off with $100,000. Okay, so that goes in front of the parentheses. You always put a 1. Now, is the cost of the house going up or is it going down? Well, look, it went up. That means we put a plus. We don't know the percent, that's the R, but we know it took 5 years. And then it became worth this amount of money. All right, then we just got to solve this. Divide both sides by 100,000. So you get 1 plus r to the 5th equals 135, 1, 2, 3, divided by 100. You get 1.35. All right, now got to finish solving this. I'm going to raise it to the 1/5 power. So I get 1 plus r, because these cancel, equals. So we're going to do 1.35 raised to the 1/5. You got 1 point. Remember, you write down the whole thing because you only round the final answer. 18759. Subtract the 1 over. So minus 1. R equals 0.061858758. And they want it to the nearest percent. So this would be 6%. And that's the answer to the question. Now, if you set up a wrong equation, but you finished it, you'd still get a point. You only get a 0 on this really is if you completely butchered it and had absolutely nothing. So that's the 2-pointers. So hopefully that went well with you guys. And I'm going to stop here, and I'll make a second video for the 4-pointers and the 6